What's up guys? Welcome back to another Kingdom Hearts video with me, LinkMaster10. This time it's going to go through my Proud Mode journey. It's going to follow the same format as the beginner one. It's going to be really heavily edited to really just show off boss fights and fun things like that. So let's go ahead and get started. So for this playthrough, I chose the shield and gave up magic because I wanted to learn certain moves quicker, like Second Chance and Once More. I also wanted any added defense I could get since most enemies can and will one or two shot me, not even including the bosses. Thankfully, I can change my equipment, which will make this much more manageable. Since I wasn't going to be playing this long term, hopefully, I once again chose the Dawn Path with the kids to level up quicker in the beginning. I did the beginning part on the island as usual, collecting the stuff from Kairi, watching Riku quickly fall into oblivion, and grinded a few levels on the Heartless. At this point, any extra stats would help greatly. I also took down Darkside and made my way to Traverse Town. I purposely lost Leon in about 2 seconds and then took on the guard armor, and as you can see, it was not a challenge at all. In Wonderland, I gathered a piece of evidence, and would you believe Goofy was the culprit? I knew it. Donald and I took on the tower, or more accurately, I took it on after Donald died in one hit. It wasn't bad. I had to be careful because even at this point in the game, I can easily get killed by the cards. Trickmaster surprisingly went easier than it did on my regular playthrough. Maybe because I was a pro at this point, with it being my third fight and all. It also helped with Sora jumping on the table like a big boy. I got consistent physical and fire hits in, and was able to use the HP orbs to stay up on my health. Next was Deep Jungle. I beat Sabor the first time, and then died to him 4 times later because I got greedy and wanted to teach him another lesson. I'm sure he learned not to mess with me. Oh yeah, I rescued gorillas and did all that other stuff too. But Clayton. Phase 1 I ignored the Heartless and focused solely on him. The next phase, I beat the smack out of the lizard until I knocked it out. Then it was Clayton's turn to find out what fireballs taste like. I decided to give Goofy some much needed attention, and he actually helped me take Clayton down without dying. Way to go, team! Agrabah brought the heat. I died multiple times here. 2 deaths from enemies as I did story stuff, and then 7 times on Pot Spider. I put the new Cure spell learned in Deep Jungle to immediate use in this fight, but it wasn't enough, and I ate Clay. Multiple times. Finally, on the 7th attempt, I pulled it off. I focused on quick hits and heals whenever I could. Next was the Tiger Head. I had 4 deaths total on him. The camera was trash, and enemies were super honed in on me. I fought with trying to keep Sora on the nose and not land on the eyebrows anytime I tried to do a single hit. Also, Donald got knocked out within the first 5 seconds, so thanks for the assist. In all seriousness, this was starting to rival the Pot Spider battle, but I finally survived long enough to take him down, and I learned Scan at level 21. Into the Cave of Wonders, I was on to Phase 1 Jafar, and it was the same story as usual. Boy meets evil Vizier, Vizier plays hard to get, Boy whiffs hits, but finally connects to take him out. Without dying, I might add. It's amazing what patience will do for you. Phase 2 was annoying as well, more because Iago likes to fly into a different zip code and mock you from out of reach. Really, Proud Mode taught me a lot of patience since I had to be way more proactive in healing and defense than I did in my last 2 playthroughs. It still took a bit with chasing Iago around, but it was finally another boss down. I got Green Trinity, Genie Summon, and the 3 Wishes Keyblade as my reward. Before heading to Monstro though, I stopped by Olympus Coliseum with the plan to do some level grinding. However, I didn't really get to do too much since I could only do the prelims at this point. I went to Traverse Town to try to fight some enemies, and also synthesized a power bangle after I opened up the synth shop with the Green Trinity. As you can imagine, it gave me a bit of extra strength, which is always helpful. At Monstro, I fought the Parasite Cage and died once because I took way too long to decide if I should heal or not. Ouch. Second try, he went down. Also, I don't know if I noticed that Riku is here during this fight actually trying to do damage. Maybe because he contributes about as much as Donald and Goofy. The most important part of this fight, however, was I learned Leaf Bracer at level 27. which I forgot to equip and died to the next boss. I did beat him second try without too much trouble, but Leaf Bracer definitely came in handy when I took acid to the face a few times. Thankfully, my damage output is decent, and doing a low jump 3-hit combo worked pretty well, though it is a bit hard to get off sometimes. I skipped over Atlanta with a smile and a wave, and headed to Halloween Town. The next big level I wanted to hit was 36 for the second chance ability, so I took advantage of the mushroom spawn at the bridge. They can net you good EXP if you can juggle them. If you're not familiar with this method, watch the tech points increase by 1 each hit. That means each time I earn that much EXP per hit, which is way better than fighting enemies for like 10 XP. It's not hard in the sense of buttons, but you have to get them in a good spot where you can continually bounce them without them hitting the terrain or you hitting the terrain and messing up your rhythm. If you can get 100 hits, you get 5,050 experience points, which is critical on Proud mode. I had better luck when I got them in a corner and then jumped, hit attack, and then also moved Sora a little bit to the right or left to keep them boxed in. I reloaded the world and farmed them up a few times. I got second chance at level 36 and hit one 100 times, which I'd never done before. Definitely wish I would have done this in my first playthrough early on for levels. I was going to do a bit more farming, but I was having trouble getting them to respawn, so I moved on with the story. Lock, Shock, and Barrel weren't too bad. I did have to heal a few times to be safe, but I really just tried to hit whichever of them I could. No favorites in this playroom. Oogie wasn't near as bad as I was expecting. My damage output, as stated before, is pretty good, which went a long way, and I got him trapped in spots where I could easily crank out a few combos on him. Might have also helped that I was a bit more patient too, baiting him to take a swipe first before I hit him. Oogie Manor was a similar story. Other than falling down and not being able to find the goo, my biggest weakness, I used arrow as needed and healed a few times and took it out. I gained the Pumpkinhead Keyblade and made my way to Neverland. Before fighting Shadow Sora, I went ahead and gave Donald and Goofy a few potions just in case. I set their battle methods to only use items in emergency and up Donald's support magic. Hopefully he'd be more likely to save his MP for support like healing and arrow instead of wasting it all on Blizzard within the first 10 seconds of the fight. Surprisingly, I did it first try, but man, was I sweating. Especially when he immediately took almost half my health with his very first hit. I focused more on blocking and dodge rolling to avoid attacks and healing and hitting any chance I could get. For Hook, I tried to take out the ships to get rid of some added annoyance and also recover MP from hitting them. Because Donald and Goofy both have abilities where they recover from KO quicker, they are much more helpful, at least just to take the heat off of me for a bit so I can be more defensive as needed. I also took advantage of the wider battlefield to run off and heal as needed, which really helped. Even with second chance, I can still easily get taken down in battle. I also threw Hook and his gift to the ground. After Neverland, I stopped by Traverse Town to get the gummy from Sid and went ahead and bought the Golem Shield for Goofy and the Magus Staff for Donald. I also stocked up on some ethers and high potions with any money I had left over. I went back to Olympus Coliseum to do Herc's Cup so I could get some more XP, and I also wanted to get the Olympia Keyblade for Sora for its damage output. Then I found out I had to do the first 3 cups to get it, so I went back and knocked all of those out. I gained Herc's Shield for beating Hercules, and of course it was immediately better for Goofy, so basically I bought the shield in Traverse Town for nothing. I farmed up the rare truffles in Neverland on the deck of Hook's ship a few times, but it felt a bit more difficult. It helps if you're flying when you hit them, but sometimes the camera puts them too high where it's really hard to keep track of their location, and it can easily cause you to miss. I did get a few of them to 100 hits and gained a couple levels before, honestly, I just got tired of doing it. There's also a strat you can use with Aurora or Aroga to just continue to bounce them without juggling them with the Keyblade, but you have to get them in the perfect spot and consistently recast to keep it going and hope they don't hit part of the ship and stop. At Hollow Bastion, I did the normal trek with Beast so I could unlock the castle gates and then proceed to whip up on Riku. You know, even though this was my 3rd time fighting him, minus the deaths in beginner mode, it's still super satisfying to put him in his place. After making my way downtown, walking fast, I arrived at the castle chapel to take on Maleficent. With a few gravities and consistent air combos, she wasn't too bad. It's also cool to watch how quickly her health goes down when you're not fighting for your life. Dragon Maleficent, however, is a different beast altogether. Before taking her on, I gave some ethers to Donald and Goofy to hopefully use responsibly, but you can guess how that went. I also summoned Tinkerbell for consistent regen and auto life if needed. I tried to get in close to do as much damage as possible and tried to be ready to heal at any moment. Goofy did use MP Gift a few times, which helped me out, and I used my elixirs without hesitation to stay alive. I had some really clutch heals thanks to Leaf Bracer that made me look way better than I was, but I did end with a deathless fight. I was pretty nervous about the Riku fight, but it actually went really well. Arrow did its part, and I used a few items for extra MP and HP restoration. I healed as needed and was able to get him in a bit of a loop with a 1 then 2 hit combo. The speedrun strat is way more effective in chaining it, but it can help you break him out of his fast counters. He also didn't do back-to-back DMs on me, so that was really nice. I finished without too much difficulty and then started my new life as Heartless Sora, so basically a typical Tuesday afternoon. After advancing the story in Traverse Town, I made my way back and picked up the Divine Rose from Belle to take on Behemoth. Oh yeah, important side note. In Traverse Town, I turned in the Fire Glowstone I got from defeating Maleficent to unlock Mushu as a summon, but more on that later. Because the enemies are stronger after beating Ansem Riku, I died on the way back through the castle to one of the dragon enemies, but only after falling down about 8 times. I also died on the gummy trip back here, but it doesn't add to your death counter, so basically it's like it never happened. My strength is pretty good with the Divine Rose, and I have Critical Plus equipped to add higher chances of crits. A few times healing, and he went down pretty quickly. I equipped the Omega Arts from the Behemoth, and then got Curaga from Aerith. I will always make time for Aerith. Then it was time to head to the end of the world. No lie, within the first 2 seconds of the gummy mission to the end of the world, I ran into a ship and died. So yeah, the streak continues. I traversed the invisible path and fought a totally new enemy, the Behemoth! Took him down in a few minutes without issues. Well, actually, he did get me down to like 1 HP, but I totally wasn't sweating or anything. I also picked up a new staff and shield from Donald and Goofy. So I mentioned a certain strat with Mushu earlier. On Proud Mode, you have the EXP 0 ability, which allows you to do a level 1 run. However, there's a damage storage mechanic that does a damage multiplier on combo finishers. If you do a combo and then summon Mushu, each hit is basically doing a full combo's worth of damage. It works much better with the full magic setup where your summons last longer, but it helped nonetheless. It also helps to be in range when you hit them. I equipped the Oathkeeper for the summon boost and added magic and did what I could. Not perfect, but for my first attempt, I wasn't mad. Overall, I was just much more careful during the fight, and I did summon Tinkerbell once Goofy and Donald came back just as an added safety. Thankfully, I came out of this unscathed. And don't worry, this will not be the last of Mushu. I had my last showdown with the Behemoth and then had the chaos of several waves of tough Heartless. I again called Tinkerbell just as extra safety, and it was a good thing I did, because I was getting hammered left and right. Sometimes the only move I could make was to heal before I got killed. But thankfully we made it through. Almost to the end. In case anyone is wondering about the equipment I have for Sora, I primarily use the Divine Rose for power, but I have the White Fang, Raven's Claw, and Omega Arts equipped for extra strength, defense, and AP. I'm also level 50, so hope it's enough. For my battle with Ansem, I equipped the Spellbinder Keyblade to try another Mushu cheese strat. Mushu doesn't advance the enemy's revenge value, so they will not do certain attacks. Because of this, he's really helpful in these end-of-the-game fights. Funny enough, the first time I got to Ansem, I totally forgot to equip EXP 0, so I restarted the fight. And you can see the immediate difference. It doesn't make the fight completely free. Depends on how good your magic is and how good your dodging is, but I did take him out with Mushu only. For Donald and Goofy, I mainly just wanted to make sure they had MP boosting stuff like MP Haste and Rage, and that both of them had Cheer equipped to help with summon time in battle. I also loaded all of us down with elixirs and mega elixirs. I'm sure they'll waste it, but better for them to use it than it sits in my inventory. Nothing special for Darkseid. I took him out in about 30 seconds with the Divine Rose. Then it was time to lay the smackdown on Ansem 2. He wasn't too tough since I have a good strength and defense build. There were a few times I had to heal, but really Leaf Bracer and Second Chance are once again making me look way better than I am. I also had decent luck not getting grabbed by his attempts to make me submit. I'm extra glad I chose his shield in the beginning with how these fights have gone. But I can't say that Ansem feels the same. Thankfully, going into the next section, I get a free heal, so I have all of my items still stocked, and Donald and Goofy should still have all of theirs since I summoned Mushu as soon as possible. Because I'm dumb, I didn't realize at first that I never unpaused my recording after beating Ansem 2, so I have to replay the final segment again. Hooray! At least I can see if my death count is actually accurate or not. Probably not. At least the total will be right for you guys. Honestly, for being on Proud Mode for this final fight, it really wasn't that bad. Soloing with Ansem, no matter the difficulty, is really just hitting and healing and yelling about the lasers. I rescued both party members and beat up the face things to then get to final Ansem. If I thought I had healed a lot with Ansem before, that does not compare to my fight with the head thing with Goofy. That is all I did. His lightning bolts were relentless. I also appreciate how Goofy wasted an item when the battle was over, but at least he used it on me. Once we rescued Donald and hit more faces, it was time for Ansem. Of course, Donald and Goofy used up their items as quickly as they could, but at least they stayed alive long enough for me to summon Mushu. Except I accidentally summoned Simba first, which of course was completely planned to keep Ansem on his toes. I sent Simba home and then brought Mushu. What better way to finish the final boss than with him? He still made it difficult with his asteroid thing, and it was super close at one point, but Mushu refused to back down. He left me with the honor of the final couple hits, and then it was all over. More importantly than defeating Ansem, I got the secret ending. Woo! Most important, I got the trophy. So only 20 deaths, and I think most of those were from Sabor in Deep Jungle and the Pot Spider in Agrabah. Man, what a whirlwind, but we did it. All trophies obtained, 3 full playthroughs later. It's been a lot of work, but I really did enjoy it. Thanks to everyone who stuck around and liked and subscribed for this playthrough. I will see you guys next time in Kingdom Hearts 2.